Good morning, Matty. How are you? And welcome to our second Cheltenham preview. We've split it up, I suppose, into two segments. Days 1 and 2 previously recorded, and we're going to be focusing on days 3 and 4 today. How are you keeping, Matty?
Yeah, morning, James. Nice early start for us today. Obviously, we're recording at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, so up bright and early to get the winners in. Yeah, all good, mate.
That's
All
it.
good. How are you?
That's it. And just, I suppose, worth noting that we are recording before the 5 day stage for Friday's card, so some of this may have to be edited later. But I think this is a good distraction for me because I'm feeling very negative about what Willie's going to do in the county hurdle all of a sudden
Yeah,
after
yeah.
eventually making up my mind. But we'll touch on that later. Thanks to everyone as well there was plenty of positive feedback, I suppose, on the first episode, which went out on late Thursday evening. I suppose people do like the format and the fact that we focused on the handicaps. We'll be keeping a similar theme to the second preview, where again we have 6 handicaps to go through in detail, and then we'll be just touching on the graded races, rather than regurgitating the same nonsense that has been thrown out and about for the last 2 weeks. It's a little bit fresher, I suppose, a little bit different, and looking forward to getting stuck in with a man who was in red hot form, a 33-1 handicap winner last weekend. He promised me at least one during the week for Cheltenham. So, Matty, will get you started on a nice handy one. The Jack Nicholson, the new novice handicap. I'd say there could be about 10 horses thrown in here. I found it very, very difficult. We've no stats to go on. I presume the old stats aren't going to apply when it was a novice handicap last in 2016, was it?
A
15
while
even?
ago, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was a race I actually had a good record in before it was changed, so I was sorry to see it go when it was taken out of the program. But of course, A Plutard famously won it, I suppose, and
Is that
went
when it
on
was
to win the
the
World Cup
centenary
after.
novices handicap? It was called. I think it was something like that, wasn't it?
That's it. That's it. Yeah, Imperial Aura won it as well one year.
Yeah.
And obviously a top grade one horse as well. So it was producing kind of grade one class horses even as a handicap before it became the Turners. And I'd say there's a few potential grade one horses in it again this year.
Yeah, I'd say there is. I'd say there's only maybe a couple though. I actually found it quite an underwhelming field. I'm still quite not entirely sure how comfortable I feel with it being a race at the festival. Um, I think it probably has depleted the Arkle and the Browns. When you look at those final fields, for all of you, probably are running scared of the Masbrood and the Ballyburns. I'd also said it's probably been a bit of a detriment to the plate handicap, and like half of these are entered in either race. Um, so I do. I'm even the Grand Annual to a degree as well. So I'm still a bit wary of how it will go. And yeah, as I say, I found it a bit difficult to get a foothold on it. I'm still like to take on Jaguar. I've mentioned it a couple of times now in recent weeks. I still don't think you just would have liked to have seen him. I mean, they punted the Billy Big Red last day, didn't they? Into like 9-5 favourite. Jaguar on the drift, and Jaguar won a bit closer in the end. You probably would have liked to have seen him extend maybe a bit more towards the end, towards the finish. And you also would have liked to see the Big Red show up quite well in the Greatwood, which he didn't. Um, but is he still throwing off 139? He's got the Jinko Blue form, the Lowry's Bar form, possibly. But do I see him as one of a number in here who can go up to that grade one level? I'm not entirely sure, which I think is probably what you will need to win a race like this at the festival. Nürburgring's an interesting one. Like he's buys often from the family of Shamadal. He doesn't scream natural chase like 2 mile 4 chase around Cheltenham. But I did think that chase day was actually quite impressive. Not hardly tried with obviously with this race in mind. But he did. I thought he regressed in the latter two starts. Whether that's by design for this, I think sometimes you can plot one out for a race and it still looks to be going quite well. I just thought his jumping's fallen to pieces a little bit of late, and whether he's chucked enough 1-4-3 again, I'm not entirely sure. The one that I am very keen on is Asian Master, who I put up a couple of weeks ago at 14-1 for this race. My only question in doubt is, was there something around on the preview circuit? I think Johnny Denis mentioned it about whether Thomas Costello rides this horse. I'm not entirely sure that he can do the 11-2 weight. He's obviously a massive lad, Thomas Costello. Obviously, it's his horse. He owns and trains. Owns and rides the horse. So whether whether or not the Costello can actually make the weight or the throw another jockey on, I'm not entirely sure. But providing they do go, I think he's one of the very few in here who can be a Grade 1 horse. Like he showed it very well at the festival last season. 7 lengths behind Masborough on chasing debut, challenging 2 out, just weakening on and got outclassed. But when you look at Masborough's won a Group 1 since, and he's likely to go off and probably win the Arkle. Um, I think that form's quite decent. I think he's always shaped like he wants to step up and trip as well as Asian Master. Even in those races, I think he beat Better Days Ahead in a Norwich, who of course went on to win the Mountain Pipe last season. And then there was a funny race last time out against behind Tully Hill and Mr. Giff, where I think they all kind of had the lead at one point. It was a very strangely run race, not particularly quick. And he was staying all the time. I think he was just weak. I think he was just out again, just done for toe in the final fence. Just always needed to go up in this up and trip. He was second to Factor Foul on the point to point. He won one himself, beating Now Is the Hour, who's favourite for the National Hunt Chase. So I think this step up and trip is only going to bring out a positive. Off 144, I think there's probably a 150s horse in there. And if he wasn't ridden and owned by Thomas Costello, I think he'd probably be a lot short in the market as well. So I'd stick with Asian Master for this.
Okay, yeah, we're thinking along similar lines, I suppose. A lot of what you said, I'm at risk of repeating. I kind of Nurburgring was in my mind for this. I can't believe this race was only introduced into the program after last year, because it feels like I've had Nurburgring in my head for this race for more than a year.
Yeah, it's the type of horse, yeah.
Maybe I manifested it, but I'm going to find it hard to jump off him, because it's one of those that if you change your mind at this point and he wins,
Yeah,
it's nearly a sympathy bet, you know. Now I do think he's probably a touch short, but at the same time, if he jumps better, which that is a major reservation, like I do feel like he could be a potential Grade 1 horse in here if his jumping came together. He doesn't look a natural. I know you referenced his pedigree, which wouldn't exactly
on
scream.
Chase debut, I actually thought he jumped really well on his Chase debut. It was just the last two, whether
Yeah,
that's by design or not.
definitely the day behind Touch Me Not. Now I thought he actually ran very well that day, because his jumping was very. What I don't think he looked like falling, but it was just slow. Like he didn't look a natural. He wasn't attacking his fences. Maybe it was the trip, like, and maybe it was just a little bit sharp for him, and he didn't have time to organise himself at his fences. I'm not so sure. I agree with you that he definitely. I was happy enough with that second run, but his third run, maybe it was a view to this race. He definitely looked to be a little bit regressive, but I'm going to be having something on him anyway. He mightn't be my main play in the race, but I, I just think he won a Galway hurdle off what 139. He's in here off 143. Like he absolutely ran away with that Galway hurdle as well. His juvenile form from last season looks strong. Got close enough to Masborough in the Triumph in fourth, and again was a big eye catcher in that contest. So I'll be having something on him. I agree regarding Asian Master. I would echo your concerns about the jockey. Look, obviously it's his horse, and he's entitled to ride him. But Cheltenham, inexperienced, a big novice handicap with a big field, it just doesn't fill you with confidence. If Townend was on him, you'd be he'll probably half in price. That's the thing. But yeah, I definitely think he's better than his mark as well. I was really taken by his debut it wasn't his debut because he ran over fences a couple of seasons ago, but his run over fences behind Masborough, I think that's very strong form for this grade. I was slightly disappointed with him last time, but I'd definitely be willing to give him another shout. So they'd be my two against the field as well. Not a strong shout because it's not a race I've really looked into in depth, but they'd be my two against the field. And similar to yourself, I'd be looking to take on Jaguar as well.
Yeah.
So that's neither of us really strong in the race, but we're thinking along the same lines at least anyway, which gives us a bit of confidence. We'll move on to the pretemps. We'll really looking forward to getting stuck into this now and getting your thoughts on it. I had the Wall Park in mind for a very long time, but he looks like he's going to go down the stairs hurdle route. So I've had to revise my views on this. Jericho de Repine in the same colours. heads the market at 5-1. Will the Wise is 7-1. Win Some Lose Some is in at 8-1. Feet of a Dancer is in at 11-1. D-Art, who's been a big talking horse in the Irish previews anyway. I'm not sure if you've been getting that word, but plenty of fellas who've been at previews mentioning him at 12-1 and 14-1, barred those. Have you a strong view on the Pertemps, Matty?
Yeah, relatively. I'm actually a bit surprised that they haven't left the Wall Park in the Pertemps, which I'm not sure whether that's more of a boost for Jericho Drepana or a negative for Tupa in the States. I think with a good ground in mind, the JP's probably thought, right, we're going to have a crack at the Stayers with Tupa maybe drifting out on the day on account of the ground. I always thought that they'd go down the Pertemps route with the Wall Park and then step up into Grade 1 company next season. So I'm a bit shocked that they haven't sent him in there, but it can only bode confidence for Jericho Drepana, who of course was a massive talking horse last season. Won the Dovecot beat in lump sum. Of course, he beat Secret Scribble as well, and he was part of that consortium of Nicky Henderson horses who were just not firing whatsoever last season. But as a result, he's got himself very well handicapped, like off mark of 135 when it was supposed to be this very good thing. He just could be absolutely anything. That run last time out just smacked of just end of the day. I thought it was a very good plot, very good plot for this race. But it's just still something niggling with him whether he's just was more of a talking horse as opposed to the 150 horse everyone thought it could be. And then it might be worth taking on for the market. Will the Wise, of course, for Cromwell, won the qualifier last time out only 18 days ago as well. He's got to back that up. That day out you mentioned, I've not heard anything from the Irish scene, but there'd be a lot more respectable boys in that scene than I would be, anyways. The one that I am very interested in, and I put up again a few weeks ago for this, is Feet of a Dancer for Paul Nolan. Of course, won the race a few years ago, Mrs. Milner. Now that qualifier on the 28th of December at Leopardstown, I think 5 of the last Pertemps winners have come from that qualifier. You always have to respect it, and I think this mare, she's a progressive mare. She's four from 11 over hurdles. She's progressing with every run, and I think that going back up to a big field as well, like the big fields that she got up to her best RPI at the time when she won at Fairy House in a big day, was in a big field in seasonal debut. She's a speed to drop back to 2 miles. I know that she has a tendency to be keen, but like she's the best 2 efforts to come over 2 mile 7, and then she was staying on well last time out. She goes well fresh. She's 3 from three of her 5 wins have come off a break. The other 2 have both placed. And she's a versatile mare as well. Like she's won on the galloping tracks, undulating tracks. She's gone well right-handed. Of course, she's 3 from 3 at Wexford. She's gone well left-handed. And I just think like she ticks all the boxes. She ran in the right races. She's got a turn of foot that you probably do need to win a Pertemps as well. And with Paul Miller winning this race a few years ago, but Mr. Milner, she qualified for that same race as well. So she followed the same path with her. I think at around she's 8-1 now. She's 12-1 top price. Sorry, 10-1 generally. I think Feet with Dancer would be my play at the prices.
Yeah, I must admit I didn't actually realise you had gone for her a few weeks ago. I must have missed that. I'd be very keen on her as well. We're in total agreement here. I when I kind of got word from the preview circuit that the Wall Park was going Stairs, like I say, I was looking for an alternative in the race. I was very keen on him initially. I mentioned Jericho Drepana in my column after his Pertemps qualifier run, which was eye-catching, but I think he's shortened to probably an unfair price now. I think he could potentially drift out a little bit on the day. But Feet of a Dancer, you've touched on a lot of the main points. That Leopardstown qualifier you referenced has produced 6 of the last 9 winners. And she poked the eye out in that race, like the way she travelled. And you just felt that she probably was a little too keen and also probably went for home a touch too early.
Yeah, she came wide far too well, didn't she?
Yeah, and like Leopardstown, they do get that 3 mile race. You often see horses coming late and winning them, because they kind of get racing early in that 3 mile handicap hurdle. They often do. I went back and watched Mrs. Milner's qualifier. You referenced that she ran in the same qualifier, and the similarities were actually uncanny. Mrs. Milner hit the front as well, went for home probably a bit too early, and looked like she didn't stay in that Pertemps qualifier, and then flew up the hill in the Pertemps. there is, of course, the case as well that Paul Nolan has a brilliant record at the Cheltenham Festival. He knows how to prepare one for the big day. They're repeatedly hitting the frame. Mrs. Milner was a winner for him, but he's had numerous other placed horses in the last 4 or 5 years at the festival. They do tend to run very well here. He knows the time of day. He's a shrewd judge, and I love her profile. She's very, very progressive, like you said. She's an excellent record, fresh off a break, and I can just see her swinging, turning in. I think she's an absolute banker to be in the frame. Absolute. I think she's an even money shot or even less to probably hit the frame, and I think she'll win. I'd be fairly sweet on her now as well. I was at a preview the other night, and Ryan McHugh, who is a very shrewd Paddy Power Betfair judge, put her up as his charity bet of the week as well. And I just asked him afterwards what was the case, because at that stage of the night, people were you were only getting a line in, as I said. And I asked him, was it the Mrs. Milner angle? And he said, yeah. And I said, that's fair enough. That's all I want to need to know. It's a reaffirmation of my thoughts.
That's music to my ears.
Yeah, I think we're on the right track there with that one. So a positive shout for Feet of a Dancer in the per temps. We'll move on to the plate, and I like one as well in here. I'd be fairly confident of another one in here. I think this is a weak renewal of the plate, the Trusted Trader plate. Potentially, as you mentioned, has been affected by the novice handicap and probably the lack of depth, in progressive horses. I suppose the extra run as well for novices required. Maybe some of them couldn't get the runs into them. But I don't think there's too many progressive horses in here, Matty.
No, definitely not. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think the novice and the Jack Richards has probably done us a bit of a disservice. You've got Jaguar in his favourite, Springwell Bear second. I think he's 11s for the Jack Richards, and you've got Five Fox in there too. So yeah, it's a race where you could even see three of the market at the moment, not three of the top end of the market not even going at the moment. But I did mention a while back that I quite fancy Grandier Dam for this after his second at Cheltenham to Moon d'Orange. It was literally the only one to fare well from being prominent that day. The 8th, the 9th, and the 10th were all prominent races. They all were all beaten, and the other prominent race was Ginny's Destiny, who was obviously pulled up. I just thought that run was really impressive. I know he's a 9-year-old. He's at the latter stage of his career, if you like, and he's on a career high mark. But it was a career best RPR last time out, and he's never really ran a bad race over course and distance. And he's just similar to he's just got similar vibes to Shake 'Em Up Harry, where he runs well in those 2 mile 4 this handicaps at Cheltenham, and he gets on a decent mark to win the big one. And I just saw that at the prices, I thought Grandy Down was one of the most rock solid. Springwell Bay, I thought it was flattered last time out by a field that didn't really perform. I know that he looked visually impressive, but he beat Marble Sands, and I put up Marble Sands that day, and it was a tentative selection. And I didn't think that he'd enjoy going left-handed. I actually thought he outperformed himself. But whether beating Marble Sands on the bridle is good enough for a race like this, I'm not too sure. And I don't think he's well treated off 154. I'm actually surprised they haven't gone for maybe an Arca with him. A weak Arca where I think he'd have a better chance of getting into third as opposed to a race like this. The other one that was interesting was Firefox. He's been campaigned over 2 miles the last twice, but stepping up back in distance 2 mile 4 should really suit, especially on a better ground. Like he was just touched off by Croke Park and the Drinmore, with Hartwood in second that day. He's obviously finished 15 lengths behind Gallop and Deschamps last time out in the Savills. And the winner beat Better Days Ahead next time out as well. Of course, Croke Park, of course, finished second to Ballyburn, the DRF. So I think Firefox has actually got quite a decent chance stepping back up in Trip 2 on the better ground. Just a question of whether 150 will be, whether he's chucks enough 150 or whether it's just a rock solid shout. But second to Atlantic, third to Masborough. It was a lovely novice, third in the Supreme, second behind Mystical Power twice. He's got all the right form lines as Firefox. If he does turn up here as opposed to the Jack Richards, in a race where novices have done well, thinking I know the last 3 have all been veterans, but prior to that, I think the last 4 were all novice chasers. So I think, apart from, was it the shunt who was, I forgot which one it was now, there's one who was chasing for years and had only just won. But yeah, I think the 2 against the field for me be Firefox and at a price, Grandier Dam.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with either of those. I see the case for both. Firefox in particular, if he did turn up here, I think he's definitely better than his mark. And the better ground should help him get the trip as well. I don't think he'd be a really strong stayer at 2.5 miles, but better ground
Mm.
uh, could help him get the trip. Um, and he looks unexposed at off a mark of 150. The one I really like, I suppose, I always these 2.5 mile handicap chases at Cheltenham. My first port of call is always course and distance form. I think we see it time and time again with these races through the season, as well as the Cheltenham Festival, that we see plenty of the same horses kind of turning up in them. There's a few in here that have placed in this race before, which touches on my stat from our first preview night. I think Shake 'em Up Harry and Fugitive, but both of those on softer ground. So I've gone for last year's Turner second, Ginny's Destiny. Now I know we were both keen on him the last day. I'm willing to forgive that. I think there were excuses for his first two runs this season. Second of those in the Peterborough Chase wasn't actually that bad of a run. His form figures on the new course read 1-1-2, with the second coming in the Turners last year. So he's 2 from 2 in handicaps on the new course. I know people knocked that race at the time and they said, oh, it was probably part of the reason why it was abolished, that, oh, it's affecting the Brown advisory and it's ruining the festival, it's diluting the festival. But last year's renewal was one of the better ones, one of the deeper ones, certainly. Grey Dawning, of course, won the race. He's posted RPRs of 168 twice this year. Jello was back in third. He's now rated 166 after two Grade 2 wins. And Iroko was even further back in fifth. Now, I know he didn't have the ideal prep, but surely those factors, a combination of those, suggest that Ginny's Destiny, if he bounces back to anything like that form, must be absolutely thrown in here off 149. You are taking a leap of faith, and for that reason, he's probably not an each way bet. I think he's a boom or bust a little bit. But I put him up at 16-1 earlier in the week and at the races. I think there's still 12s available, but generally 10s. I still think that's a very good price. A possibility that this race could cut up a little bit. And I think if he comes back to anything like that form, he could be absolutely thrown in here off 149.
Yeah, I like that shout, definitely. I mean, you take it on trust, aren't you? But you say that Turner's form's worked out ridiculously well. I'm just looking. I couldn't believe he's actually off 149. You kind of find him synonymous with Grey Dawning, don't you? Is a 160 horse in his own right. But yeah, if you can bounce back from that novice form, I think 16-1's a brilliant price.
Yeah, and that Turner's run, like, it wasn't just that he finished second. Like, they went toe to toe from a long way out. They pulled him like they had the race between the two of them from 4 out. There was nothing else going to get involved in the race really, and he didn't go away. Like, and I love Grey Dawning. I'm a huge fan of the horse, one of his biggest fans, and the fact that he was able to give him such a race, I think that bodes well dropping back into this company. I know the run last time is a negative, but I'll give him one more chance. So we'll move on to the final handicap on the Thursday. I'm touching it off screen with you, I suppose. I like Thursday's cards. Now, the Kinmure wouldn't be one of my strongest shouts, but is there anything you like for the Kinmure?
Yeah, I'd like to take on Johnny who I just cannot believe is the favourite in here. I think is it Derek O'Connor has been given the ride. I think it is. Oh, there's been talk of Derek O'Connor getting up for the ride. I think that's maybe why he's coming for some money. But I've always thought he's better at 2 mile 4. Like he's a travelly horse who doesn't find much off the bridle, but off a strong pace when he's actually off. I think 2 mile 4 is his trip. I'm surprised that they've not given him an entry in the plate or the Jack Richards. I personally don't think he'll stay a yard past 3 miles. I know that he's been campaigned in small fields this season where they've not particularly tried with him. But I still think his best efforts come around 2 mile 4. Like he won his Carlisle novice on the bridle, beating Moon Orange at 2 mile 4. It was fourth in the Cello at Captain Teague, beating 2 lengths. Fourth to Gideon Park, beating 6 length over 2 mile 4. Now I think with John Joe and they've campaigned this one wrong. But off 140, I still do think he's well handicapped in the same sense. I'd be worried about this trip. I really would. As I say, apart from that, I didn't have a massive strong opinion on it. But obviously, Cromwell won the race with I Know the Way You're Thinking last season, and I think he's got a very similar one in the form of Mint Boy here. Best effort over hurdles came in a Fairy House handicap over 3 miles. and I know he's 7th in a listed company next time out since. But over fences, they've campaigned him over shorter trips, over 2 mile 6 on debut, third to Search for Glory, only a length behind Sam Majest as well, who's £4 better off with here. Sequester was in fourth that day. He franked the form very nicely to winning the Irish, the Whiskey O'Driscoll's handicap at Leopardstown. Then he was again dropped down to 2 mile 5 and novice company on good ground, just held up in rear. Similar story over 2 mile, again dropped down to 2 miles. Like, they've not campaigned him how he should be campaigning at all. Similar to the I know you the way you're thinking angle. Because by Mount Nelson, out of a presenting mare, I think he's on a decent enough mark as well, on 138. So I think if there is something to be like last year's winner in here, I think it could be Mint Boy for the same connections.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, that's yeah, Cromwell. I suppose he's going to have a brilliant festival in the handicaps, isn't he? Like,
Yeah,
he seems to have one or two for each and every one of them. Very very shrewd operator. Just a couple that I've kind of on my short list for the race. Gitmaker, second in the race last year. Probably don't think he's going to go. He needs rain to arrive. He's only a pound higher than when chasing home. This year's Gold Cup second favourite last year in the Kim Muir. So I don't think he'll meet anything of that calibre in this year's field. He also meets my stat from earlier in the week of he was second in the same race previously, and he's an older horse, age 9 or over. Chambard hits that too, but he's a 13-year-old. He won this race off 134 in 2022. He was actually 8 in the Ultima last year off 146. So he's probably not that badly handicapped off 132, but I don't think a 13-year-old can win Cheltenham Festival handicap. Cletus Pula is a horse that I've kind of been tracking all season, and I've been trying to figure out what the actual target is with him. I mentioned him here.
Yeah, you mentioned it last week, didn't you? I think it was.
Yeah, he runs off 135. Now, he did get a little bit of a whack from the UK handicapper, but sometimes that can be possibly a good thing because they're onto it as well. I'm convinced this is a better horse than that sort of mark. He jumps well. I don't think he was really. I think he was out to get round the last day and qualify for something like a handicap. He was a classy horse over hurdles, which I do like in these kind of races. He ran well off 139 in last year's per temps. I know he only finished 9th, but a lot of those that finished ahead of him came from further back. And I thought kind of 16, 20 to 1 was generous about him. And the other one I like is actually Cromwell's other horse, Yeah Man. Now, ground could potentially be against him as well if it dries out too much. Good to soft, I think, might be okay for him at this trip. He's been on my radar since his run in the Tri-Town at Navan earlier in the season. And he was going very well at Haydock the last day. Look, I know some people were saying he would have won. I think it was too early to say that for definite, but he certainly would have gone close. And off the same mark, I think he can run well again if turning up here at 14 to 1. So they'd be kind of my few on the short list, but I wouldn't have a strong opinion on the race just yet. So we'll touch on our graded races on Thursday. We'll do something similar, Matty, to what we did earlier in the week. We'll play our lay because I think there's a few of them short as well. Just quickly touch on the Mayor's Novice. Now I know there's probably a couple at the top of the market here, but I'll throw you over to Maureen. Is she a player, a lay for you? And if she's a lay, have you an alternative?
Yeah, she just. I did like the way that she extended last time out at Punchestown, but I wonder whether there's just the 14 connection is kind of bumping the price up a little bit. I mean, she's not been wildly impressive for me to justify a price like that. She'd be a lay for me on the day. She would. The other that I'd consider is Just a Rose for Paul Nicholls, the seemingly second string of his two mares in this one. I just thought that win at Taunton was so impressive. She was cost £175,000. Like she's not a cheap mare. Like, she beat Country Mile and point to point. It was of course now rated 137 for Skelton, and she just demolished that field at Taunton over 2 mile 3. The same route as Golden Ace took last season, of course. She was 4 seconds quicker than anything in the final 4 furlongs that day, and she was 12 lengths quicker than the 135 rated winner of the 0 to 150 handicap later on in the card. So, the time the sectionals do back it up. Just like Freddie Ginger, he couldn't even pull her up the last day. I know she'd apparently had her issues, which is why she took so long to get to the track. And we're going to go down the Jane Seymour route, which of course has thrown up the last two winners. Went through Love Envoy and You Wear It Well. So she's following she's supposed to follow all the right paths. And I like that she's coming here fresh as well. I think she was so impressive fresh last time. I'm not concerned that Cobden's on the other one. I think if anything, it's a positive that Ginger's been given the chance again. And I think around 16-1, I think she's going to probably be one of my better bets on the Thursday. Just a Rose.
Okay, very good. Yeah, strong view there. I know you were keen on her a few weeks ago as well. You mentioned her. Yeah, I'd be against Maureen. I think you've touched on it. I think if she wasn't related to Faheen, I think she'd be a bigger price. And if she wasn't trained by William Mullins, just on farm alone, I think she's way too short. I was keen at 6.5 after her debut, but at the time, I remember I put her up, or I mentioned her, sorry, in my weekly column on ATR, and she was 7-1 at the time, and I thought that was good value, but like she's less than half of that now, so I think the value is gone in her, and I don't really have a strong opinion on the race. I'd be against Maureen, but I'm not sure at that price I'm going to be a backer of 6.5. So not a strong view for me, but a good shout from you on Just a Rose. We'll move on to the Ryanair. Fact to file. I think this is going to be an absolutely brilliant race. I think
this is an unbelievable race. One of the best Ryanairs I've seen in recent times, without a doubt.
I think so, yeah. And like, I think that it's the right race for all of them. Like, Fact to file has tried 3 miles. He's run into the back of Gallopin. Like, I think this race this year justifies why the Ryanair is there. Like, these are horses. They're gone out of novice. They're into open company. Gaelic Warrior has been outpaced at 2 miles. Fact to file didn't get home in the King George over 3. He's not going to stay the Gold Cup trip. Or sorry, Il Francais, sorry, rather. Fact to file looked like he didn't stay a couple of times at Leopardstown, to be fair, over 3 miles. And Protectorat, who's been tried and tested in the Gold Cup. So these 4, they're not going to come into the reckoning in either the Champion Chase or the Gold Cup. And there's others in here as well that haven't stayed in Gold Cups in previous years, like Jungle Boogie. It looks an absolutely cracking renewal. And I'd be very keen to take on the Fav. I think he's way too short.
Yeah, I'd take him on too. I just struggle to work him out. I really do. Like, I know he won the John Durkin, and everyone kind of said from then onwards, oh well, he's only going to be better over 3 miles, forgetting that the the reigning Gold Cup champion is also going to be better over 3 miles, and he's been put in his place since. He's not thinking so. Like, he's not. I think it is the right race for him at this stage in his career, and he can go up to the Gold Cup next season, perhaps. But I still don't think he's been disgraced against Galopin Des Champs. Like, I think he'd have a better chance of finishing second in the Gold Cup than he would than winning the Ryanair. I know, the festival winner's a lot better than the festival second, but I am keen to take him on. I still don't quite buy into him just yet. But as you say, it's a fantastic race. Like, Il Francais is going to make this an absolute, a massive test. Whether he's going to handle the undulations of Cheltenham is completely different to Kempton. Like I touched on it the other day. Like, I'm not a massive fan of Kempton form coming into Cheltenham. Gaelic Warrior, it's the right race for him. Protectorat was an unbelievable winner of it last season, beating NYLM. JLo's improved this season, now up to 160. He's got a great chance. But if there's one horse that this race is going to be suited to, it's Jungle Boogie. Like, that run in the Gold Cup last season was so impressive. Pulled the arms out of I think of Darrow O'Keefe the whole way, and got to 3 out thinking, how on earth is this thing still in here? Like, he's pulled the whole 3 miles and he's still pitching in. Like, we're travelling really well. He made a mistake. I think he made a mistake 2 or 3 out and just stunted the momentum a little bit. And he was always going to drop away at the finish, but I think he still finished 6th, like around some good 5th, like around some good horses. He wasn't beaten out of sight at all. And I just think, like, if he can replicate that run, like that Gold Cup run, even if he is keen again, the race is going to fall into his hands. He was an excellent winner at Ascot, beating Phil Daw, where he actually looked really settled in himself as well. Jumped so well. Comes here fresh, of course. I know he's not your typical 11-year-old, is he? By any means, he got a lovely record. He's 5 from 7. He's got some great form in the books and some great back class. I just think if there's any, even if he is a bit keen again, like this pace that Il Francais is going to set, it's only going to suit one horse, and he has got a bit of a turn of foot too. I think Jungle Boogie would be the one for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off that. Now, I remember after last year's festival, I was going through doing my catcher's column as I normally do, and I was actually very close to putting up Jungle Boogie for this year's Ryanair, and get pelters thrown at me, I know, but having looked at the Gold Cup, I was like, this horse is made for Ryanair. It
Yeah,
was just he's well, one, his overall profile, I suppose he hasn't been the easiest to keep right, and the fact that he was going to be 11 at this year's festival, but I know older horses have won the Ryanair before, so I definitely wouldn't put anyone off him at the price. But I know you touched on Kempton Farm. I do like Kempton. I do like King George Farm for this race. Beaten horses in the King George have a brilliant record in the Ryanair, and I actually, this is kind of a wild shout, but I think Ile Francais could be Vautour Mark II here. I just thought there was so many similarities. I mentioned it earlier with Feet of a Dancer and Mrs. Milner. If you looked at Vautour's Ryanair, where he does everything right, but he just gets chinned. And like he had a good jump at the last. Ile Francais obviously gave the race away, or it was the deciding factor with his poor jump at the last. But he was getting tired anyway. He probably would have been picked up by a stronger stayer in Banbridge. But up to like the turn in, he was just wow, I thought. Um, and I think he's going. I know you do have to take on trust a little bit that he's going to handle Cheltenham, but I think he could blow this race apart. He'd be one of my stronger bets now in the graded races through the week.
So that is bold. I like that a lot. Like as I say, if you can replicate that Kempton, those Kempton runs, even from his course or Star Novice, it'd be very hard to peg back. It's just you're just chancing that it does take to the course, aren't you? I suppose.
Yeah, you are taking that on trust, but if he does, I think they're not going to get near him. We'll move on to the stairs. The last race on the Thursday, Tihupu Witter against Matty.
It's ground dependent. I think it's entirely ground dependent. If the ground is soft, the soft side of good, definitely. I think he's a class apart and a win. If there's any good in the description, I think he'd probably go out to around 2. I think he could drift out to 2-1 on the day. Don't quite buy into the lucky place stuff at the moment. I know that's the lucky place has been he's been hammered in over the last few months. Just on his pedigree, he's not a stayer for me. I know the last day he beat was at Golden Ace and the other one, but they're both those running at the wrong trips. I think at Gower Road it was over 2.5. Both of those running, I think, at the wrong trips. So I know that he was strong at the finish, but I think he was flattered in that respect. I'm just not entirely sure these 3 miles bring out the best of him. If it's good ground, then he could get away with it, though. It's a lucky place, an interesting one, but I wouldn't be all that way in. Home by the Lee as well, like he's been beaten in the last few attempts of stayers now. I know that he's in good form this season, and I've seen Joseph O'Brien bring him up. Again, one for me, like he's been here, he's done it. He's failed a couple of times now. It's just such a weak maneuver. Like you take Tupu out of this, it's such a weak. It almost looks like a pair attempts race. And then the one for me at the prices would be last year's pair attempts winner, Monmoral, who I think has been steadily coming back to form this season. Is around 30-1, 40-1 from an each way perspective. I think it's quite a decent bet. I know they were taping with the idea of going down the pair attempts route, having qualified in November. But I thought I'd run behind Strong Leader was impressive at Newbury. I'm a massive fan of Strong Leader on a flat track like a Newbury or an Aintree. I think he's a very good horse in his day. I don't think he was probably trying to win that race either with the pair attempts in mind. I think they had to play their hand quite late on. And of course, it was ahead of Strong Leader again at Cheltenham in the Cleve, just behind Gower Road, giving £4 to him. So he was worse off at the weights that day. And I thought that was a good effort. I think Gower Road's improving. I couldn't see Gower Road finishing ahead of him in the stayers this season. This time around, I know that he's short in the market than him. Monroe, like with good course form, he's a lovely juvenile. He's coming back to what we all thought he could be. I think he's especially on decent ground. I think he's a stellar bet on around 40-1, 33-1.
Yeah, I like that. I've mentioned my buddy a few times on the show. He's keen on Monmoral as well for the stayers. He thinks he's a good each way bet. The one I like in here is I'd be against Tihupu. Similar comments again. Look, if they do get rain and it's softer ground, I think he does come back into it. But I didn't like his run in the Hatton's Grace this year, and I know people were saying, "Oh, it was ground," but it could turn out to be similar ground at Cheltenham. Now I know it was 2.5 miles, but like he beat Honeysuckle 2 years ago. He beat Imperial Pass last year, and this year he was only a couple of lengths ahead of Beacon Edge. So, like even taking Lassie out of the race, I don't think it was a good run. And like she did plenty wrong in the race as well, and she just cruised past him. I know she's obviously a much quicker horse, and this is a completely different test. But just relative to his prep in the race, or for this race in the previous 2 years, I don't think it's quite as good. And I'd be at the prices. I think you have to take him on. And the one I'd like is the Wall Park. I mentioned it earlier with regards to the Pertemps. I thought he was going to win the Pertemps off 152, and I'm looking at this stairs, and I'm like, right, what kind of mark can I put him on? I can take him to 160 as things stand nearly. I thought his defeat of Dowell Road at the October meeting here was very, very impressive. Dowell Road has only gone from strength to strength since. He gave him £4 and a 2.5 length beating, I think it was. Dowell Road is now rated 148. So I think that can realistically put the Wall Park, given the manner of the victory, the fact that this course will suit him better than the old course, I think. He was really strong at the finish. He was strong at the finish at Ascot in the long walk last time as well. And I just don't think the ground really played to his strengths. And I like the way he finished out that race. He's a real stayer. Like, he will love this. The race is absolutely made for him. And I think 12-1 is cracking each way value in the greater races where I don't think there's brilliant each way value through the week or a price you can really get stuck into. I find it very difficult to keep him out of the frame, and I think he's a good chance of winning. So, Matty, we'll cover our best bets for Thursday.
Oh, the nap. Best bet for me. If Asian Master gets in and Costello either does the weight odds, I know we're joking about, I think it'd be Asian Master, but at the risk that he might not run, I'll go with Feet of a Dancer for the Pertemps.
Feet of a Dancer for the Pertemps. Okay, very good. I'll avoid that one. So I'm actually going to throw in a couple on Thursday because I think it's my favorite day of the week. Ile Francais is the nap at Trees, and each way the Wall Park in the stairs. But I do like Ginny's Destiny and Feet of a Dancer as well. So I'm hoping for a good
Thursday.
That'll be my each way lucky for the week. I think will all be Thursday race. Okay, so we'll move on to Friday. We've gone through Thursday in good detail there. Just the two handicaps on Friday, and then we'll touch on the graded races as well. And the County Hurdle, Matty, a race we have discussed at length already on this show over the recent weeks. We've been deliberating, we've been arguing, we've been in the same camp but with different horses. And have we both got the wrong one?
I think we have at the moment, haven't we? It's a fascinating renewal. It is really fascinating. Like, Skelton and Mullins have both won between them 9 of the last 10. I think only Peter Fahey has disrupted that record. And obviously with the rule change now, the stateman rule, it's a lot trickier to land a plot. And that's where I think we'll see a lot more of these profiles, like the Copet Demise coming from France, who they've already had the qualifying runs, or at least some of them. And then once Copet Demi wins, they'll change the rule. Then they say you've got to have 5 runs in England instead, not France. And but yeah, the vibes on this horse are just ridiculous. And I've always been a man to kind of use my own eyes and rather than as opposed to listening to stuff like that, as I don't think you can learn the game without doing it. But there's a lot of good judges saying that this is a good thing. Like I've fancied Ethical Diamond for a while now, and I saw something the other day saying he left Ethical Diamond leading an inhaler on the gallop or something like that. So I'm still going to stick with Ethical Diamond. I'll still stick with my laurels, as I do think it's been well plotted out for this race. Although saying that, I don't think they need to win by that much last time out. I think if it was more shrewdly campaigned, they could have been off 140 maybe. Absurd is like, if Absurd comes back, I think Absurd would probably need the run, but even the 90% Absurd is still probably rated 155 plus. You'd say, like, the fact that he's only off 146 is incredible. I think if it wasn't with Mullins being a champion hurdle, Really a lot higher than 146. So I think if Absurd turns up, you'd have to be wary as well. Lark in the morning, obviously completely plotted out for the race. I don't think McClory will turn up to the county. So he just say it's a fascinating contest, and it's kind of tricky to look past the kind of the top 5-10 in the market. The other that I would give a good mention to, which I think I did a couple of weeks ago, is Cabral du Matin for Paul Nicholls. I just think galloping 2 miles on the new course, 2 mile on the new course, exactly what he wants. I don't think we've seen the best of him whatsoever this season. There's a lovely winner on debut. Where are we at now? Sorry, yeah, it's a good winner on debut for Cameron du Matin. Beat the King William Rufus, who's a horse that I do quite like. He came out and won well since. He then pulled 17 lengths clear of Be Aware in second, of Be Aware in third in that in the Old Betfair Trophy with Fierce so Proud. You think Be Aware is going to go favourite for a Coral Cup? I thought it was quite decent form. And he was then second at Windsor, and he had absolutely no business being second at Windsor. I thought he hated the track. Didn't handle the undulations and the tight turns at all. Came from well back in rear to finish second Secret Scribble. The form of that race worked out very well. I think Navajo Windows showed up well in the Betfair. Cracking Rapster was about 12 lengths behind. He's won the more battle since. So I think Cabral du Matin's got a very good chance on this new course for an each way perspective. But I mean, we could all just be talking in hypotheticals here. As this Kopek to me could be something special off 136.
Yeah, I mentioned a few weeks ago that I was guilty as charged. I jumped on the bandwagon for the Martin Pipe. Got an okay price, but have the wrong race. Now it wasn't on Run or No Bet, but it's just one of these things you do, like similar to Kopek the board when I backed him for the Turners. Like, why not have something on for the other race? Especially when it's non-run or no bet.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't, and I can't. There's no going back now. I just think it's fascinating. Like I know people say, look, Ruby, there's always an agenda and this, but he's almost apologetic about the mark that this horse is after getting. Like he's almost trying to explain that, this isn't us,
Yeah.
breaking the rules. This is what the handicapper gave him, and the justification of it. And he was saying something like one in marking the 160s. Like if that's true, he's going to win this by 15 lengths. Unless they try and they do what Statement did and they go 5 wide all the way around and just pop every hurdle and
it's almost
try and narrow the
shades
margin.
of the unsinkable boxer. It's almost shades of that, isn't it? Well,
yeah.
Martin Pinehead was told they have the celebration party the night before or something.
Yeah, a little bit, but look, you have to take that. You can't ignore that talk, because if you do, it's different if it's coming out of a camp that don't know what they're talking about. Look, this is a camp that they know the time of day. They have all the guides. You'd hear the stories that he destroyed Estill Diamond and the Gallops. He could be absolutely thrown in, but now he's gone to the price where you have to kind of look beyond him. Look, I deliberated over Ethical Diamond, Cargizi. I eventually came down on the side of Absurd, who on the drying ground I think will run well. Look, he could bump into one, but I think now you're going to get a better price, and you're probably going to get an each way price on Absurd if he runs in the race. I would like to see Townend on him, of course, but if he does, I still think he'll run very well. He's £8 higher than last year, but last year the visual impression that he created to me was just like, it was breathtaking. The way he just sliced through the field. He actually missed the second last, and you think, oh, he's now got too much to do. Having been on him, I was on player cam. I was tracking him through the race, and the way he weaved through horses up the straight on the run to the final flight, and then picked up, and he won a shade cozy, like given Loaded Sud £3, I think it was. Form has been boosted. I know Loaded Sud is over fences this season, but he's in the reckoning in an Arkle. I like the form. I think to be £8 higher for that run, and the manner in which he did it, is very fair. You've got the better ground, which will suit. I'm not too concerned about the fresh element. Like, he went to Melbourne, obviously, travel and everything, off a break of 3 months, I think, or hadn't run since August. So I'm not overly concerned that he's been off the track since November. I actually probably like the fact that he's been given plenty of time to recover from that, given the exertions of traveling and everything. It didn't affect him last year, and I don't think it will affect him this year. I just think he'll run well. But I am very, very afraid of this French horse that's thrown in by 30 pound. And the other one I would give a shout to, like you mentioned, is Lark in the Morning, who I backed for last year's Fred Winter, and I think he's feasibly treated as well coming back. And his prep at Leopardstown at Christmas, they picked the right day anyway to run in, because he was delighted with the fog. I'd say they never put him in the race at all, and he was a big eye catcher on the day, and should go well. So they'd be my two against the French monster. The Martin Pipe, I am still reviewing this race, having already backed Kopek to me, so it's back to the drawing board for me. I know you were keen on Tap on the Go, and is that still the case?
Yeah, it's still the case. I mean, you never know. You never know with Willie Mullins. And there might be a last minute switch for Kopek Domain. You might be quids in. Who knows? Yeah, I still think Tap on the Go is the one to be on here. I thought the handicap was a bit ruthless, giving a £7 higher British mark. But if anything, that's probably aided his cause in getting into the race off 135. Look, he's beat McClory 9 lengths on his second start over hurdles. And obviously, of course, rated a pound higher now on 136, and he's chucked it on that form. Second to Old Man Dingle next time out. He was now £17 higher, was 4 lengths behind McClory, so the form's worked out in that sense. And then they dropped him back in trick to 2 miles for the last two starts. The first one behind James's Gate, and the next one behind William Money, I think it was. And he's just been held up in rear, obviously going for the qualifying marks. Step up back in trip must suit. I think Tap on the Go is a fairly solid each way angle into this race for sure. At around 14 to 1. Woodhill would be the other one. I know she's a short price now, but if she turns up here in the Martin Pipe, I think she'd have a great chance. I was surprised that she was a big enough price at Cheltenham the last day, which I thought to me she might not have been off, but she won it so well. The forms, obviously, you don't need any explanation for the form with the top two in a listed company, graded company since. But at the prices, it'd be Tap on the Go for me.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do like Tap on the Go. I think I was at a preview, like I said, the last night, and Darrell O'Keefe was very sweet on him, giving him a big shout. I think he may have even been his charity bet of the week. Tap on the Go. Woodhu, I'd be kind of keen to take her on a little bit. I know the farm has worked out so well from her Cheltenham success earlier in the season, but she's now rated 141. She'll nearly need to run to probably 150 to win this. Like a mare rated 150, you're getting into kind of grade 1 territory. Like Honeysuckle was only rated 158 when she won her mare's hurdle the first time, with the £7 allowance factored in, of course, to their rating. I'm not sure she's like a proper grade 1 mare. And she'd nearly need to be to win off this mark in this type of race, unless it's a weaker renewal or a substandard renewal. McClory would be slightly interesting if he turns up here. Like he was so authoritative last time. He's in the could be anything category for me still, but I wouldn't have a strong opinion on the race. I'd just be slightly against the mare, and I know it's silly because her form looks so strong. Like the second, third, and fourth, I think, have all boosted it since.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's strong form, definitely.
Yeah, very, very strong form. It's just her mark. I'm just I'd be a little bit concerned about that. Now maybe I've underestimated her because we probably don't know how good she is, to be fair, because she's a string of ones to her name, but at the price I'd be tending to take her on with something else.
She did beat Nürburgring as well at the start of the season.
She did she?
It was Stoll, I think it was.
Stoll, yeah. I think Nürburgring is a little bit like Unexpected Party. I think his form is very selective. I wouldn't be taking all of it on trust. So there are two handicaps covered on the Friday. We'll rattle through the graded contest, and we'll have our best bets for Friday and maybe our best bets for the week as well. The Triumph, Lulamba East India Dock, or are you taking the pair on?
I'm going to take the pair on. Look, both of them still remain in the could be anything category. East India Dock brings a form. Lulamba brings obviously the kind of the hype. Lulamba was good last time, but I suppose Mondo Man has let down a little bit. just is. Would you rather be taking the 2-1 about East India Dock or the 9 about Lambert? Probably be the East India Dock. But I'd personally rather take the 16-1 about or the 20s top price about Gibbs Island. I did mention a couple of weeks ago. This horse, like he beat Surrey Island or Surrey Quest, I should say, on the Navy quite comfortably over hurdles. Surrey Quest has come out and won twice. Surrey Bell, it's come out and won twice since lastly by 57 lengths. And also they're underrated in the 1-2-5s. But then Gibbs Island goes to Haydock, and he beat Give It To Me OJ in the Victor Ladorum. Beat him very closely, 6 lengths. Really impressive form. Give It To Me OJ's won closing next time out. And that horse as well, like that horse was only 35 lengths behind East India Dock on Hurdle's debut. Gibbs Island was given away, given £5 to go to Give It To Me OJ. So on the line through that horse, I think he's massively overpriced for East India Dock. Not suggesting for a minute that he's just as good at the moment, but I think he's wildly overpriced when you consider that form. So I wouldn't be playing the shorties, but I would be playing Gibbs Island each way.
Okay, interesting shout. Yeah, I don't really have a strong betting opinion in this race now. A couple of weeks ago when it was, what was it, 6-4 Lalamba and 7-2 East India Dock, I'd have been all over East India Dock. One of those kind of muggy each way bets where you know he's going to hit the frame. Take your small loss if he's beaten, and with the huge potential of getting the whole lot. At 2-1 now, he doesn't. I think he could probably still drift if the money comes for Lalamba, and he might interest me in and around the 3-1 mark. But as things stand at the moment, I don't really have a strong betting opinion on the race. But I do think Lalamba is too short. I think he's priced on hype, not on form. But when you don't really know just what he's doing on the gallops, you hear again all the rumours that he's leaving good horses in his wake. But no, not a strong view for me on that race. We'll move on to the Albert Bartlett. I'm struggling. The races have been reconfigured, or the schedule, but it's the Albert Bartlett next on the Friday, isn't it? Of the graded races. Sorry, it's the Mayor's Chase.
Yeah, I thought it was on the Mayor's Chase. Yeah,
Mayor's Chase.
I thought the Big Western had been supplemented.
Yeah, sorry. I still haven't reconfigured in my head the revised schedule for this year. So the Mayor's Chase is next. Dino Blue is the 6-4 favourite. Are you with her against?
It's not a race I have a massive opinion on. I mean, when I looked at since Lim Impervious was not confirmed for the race, I've not particularly given it much thought. I had to blink twice when I saw Dino Blue and the Allegory Durassi, the top two in the market for the race. It's not a particularly great renewal. Telepathic would perhaps be the each way player on the day, but it's not something that I've particularly given too much thought to.
No, similar comments apply. Dino Blue, I kind of was keen to take her on last year. Went with Limerick Lace. She's probably an unlucky loser, but she's sharp price favourite again. Doesn't have a great Cheltenham record. She's been turned over a few times now as favourite. 3 times I think as favourite. Now I know one of those was in a handicap, but you'd be kind of braver than me anyway to take a sharp price about her again. So I don't think I'll be having a bet in the race as things stand. We will now move on to the Bartlett after a quick synopsis of the Mayor's Chase. And this race a little bit up in the air, I suppose, at the moment. Like there's the potential for Final Demand or the Yellow Clay to be rerouted from the Turners if the ground is decent. Do you have a strong view on this race?
Not particularly strong, apart from they're all running scared of the new line in the Turners, aren't they? Which is only a positive. Look, I think Final Demand, if he turns up here, will be the winner. He's just crying for a tribute. Not particularly a slow horse, but I think he's a very good stayer. He'll be a Gold Cup horse in time. The Big Westerner is interesting. She's obviously been safe in this race, but the one that I thought was a better horse at the price, the winners of the Albert Bartlett, you have these strange winners, don't you, where they kind of pop up from nowhere. Big prices. Your Stellar Story last season, Chin the Jukebox Man, Stay Away Fair, won at 18-1. The Nice Guy, 18-1. Started off in bumpers that season. Vanilla, 14-1. You had Millerendo at 50-1. There's only been one single figure SP in the last 10 years. It's one of those races that does throw up a strange result. And I thought Argento Boy, I think if he didn't pull up on his second start over hurdles, I think he'd be a lot shorter in this. Was second to the big Westerner on hurdles debut, when far too keen for his own good. Around the time where Willie's worked firing as well. Obviously, we all remember the issue with the gallops early on in the season at Close Sutton, where they just hadn't rained and weren't able to get the horses fit and firing. Whereas Henry's had always started off quite strong as they do, anyways. And I thought that was a good bit of form considering that the mare is 5-1 here. I say I can forgive him for pulling up next time out, but I thought that display last time where he drew clear of 15 lengths without even jumping that well as well. I thought if he comes on for that again, he could just be one of those who just pops up at a nice price on the Out Bartlett. So from an each way perspective, it'd be Argento Boy for me.
Yeah, and the form, like you say, ties in with the big Westerner, who's a much shorter price. I think, yeah, I'd forgive him a second run as well. I think a few Willies did underperform at Christmas, so I think you can forgive him that one. And he was quite eye catching in his success last time. I'm going to have to stick with the big Westerner now. If Final Demand diverts here, he's going to be very hard to beat. I agree. He's going to be a sharp price, but um, he's going to be very difficult to beat. I think he is a 3 miler in time, certainly, and I think he'd probably have enough class to win this renewal. The big Westerner, look, I've been keen on her pretty much all season. I loved her debut when she beat Argento Boy, as you mentioned. I thought she took a big step forward from that next time at Limerick, a race that has a rich heritage in producing winners of this race, of course. A number have come out of it and won this race, including last year's winner. Penn Hill also did it, and a number of horses have ran in the Limerick race and won here. Henry de Bromhead's record with mares at the festival is absolutely incredible, as we all know. But his record with mares in open contests is even better. In the last 5 years, he's 5 from 12 in such contests with mares. Level stakes profit of 41.34 to level stakes. They include Put the Kettle On, Honeysuckle, Mascada won the Grand Annual. There's obviously 5 of them in there. And I think she ticks plenty of boxes for this contest. I was on her 12-1. I actually backed her 16-1, but I tipped her 12-1 after her Limerick success. I can't desert her now. I think she'll run well. Darrell O'Keefe, the recent preview, said that she's Henry's best chance of a winner during the week, which I will take that because he's bound to pop up at one at some point, given his record at the meeting. And but she's probably on the skinny side now in this sort of race. But if anyone followed me in early in the season, I won't be deserting her.
I think she'd have to be the first mare to win the race. I think she would be.
She probably would, but not many have tried. I don't think.
No, I wouldn't.
Can't
I wouldn't
remember
have
too
thought so.
many
No.
fancied ones.
No.
And I think maybe unlike a couple of the others, like she is a 3 miler. She'll jump and travel all day. She can be a touch keen, but hopefully she'll settle. And if she does, I think she'll be thereabouts. So the Gold Cup, Matty, the feature of the week. We have a sharp price favourite. We're going to have a very small field. We probably have one British trained runner, will we? Maybe two.
Yeah, I think it'd be Long Press and the Real Whacker of the Brits to go. I think it'd be.
Yeah. So it's stacked in the Irish's favour, or in our favour, I suppose I should say. The favourite. Are you with or against? I know it's hard to be with now at the price, but
yeah, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be playing all lane. You just be watching and hoping that he wins for the benefit of racing. Just unbelievable, isn't it? I have had a bet in the race, anti-post. I backed Monty Star each way. I think at 20-1 at the time, and given it's going to cut up to I think maybe 7. Galloping the Champs, Banbridge, Monty Star, maybe Corbett's Cross. Not entirely sure. I know the way you think is going to get supplemented for it. Long Press and the Real Whacker. It's going to be 7 or 8 on the field. And I still think Monty Star has a good chance of filling the frame. I don't think he's like a lot of Henrys. They don't peak toward just after the start of Christmas and the New Year. They certainly didn't peak this season. They're in really poor form. And I think he just paid the price for running, following Galloping the Champs last time in the Irish Gold Cup. And I think I do think Cheltenham will suit him, and he ran well behind Paxfell in the Browns last season, staying on well. I think the 3 mile two will get. I think he'll get the 3 mile two. They view him as a national horse in time. Um, I think if it is good ground, I think Bambridge might be the one to chase Gallop in the Champs home. I can't see it by the end by Friday, perhaps being quick spring ground. I think it'll be a bit of giving it. They'll have obviously water. I think the waterman now. I can't imagine we'll have a good ground Gold Cup at all. But if it's on, there's any good in the description, it'll be Bambridge to follow him home, and I'd imagine Monty Star for the TriCast. But we all want Gallop in the Champs to win.
Yeah, we do. We do. That's the key line. We all want Gallop and the chance to win. I just think he's a brilliant horse. Brilliant horse. I obviously look. I put him up after he was beaten in the John Durkin because I thought it was history repeating itself that he's beaten in it last year as well, and he drifted out to 5-1 and was imperious at Leopardstown, and then became a short or went off a sharp price favourite and Julia obliged. I thought that was one of the better anti-post bets, even though that type of price that early in the season isn't for everyone. I fully respect that. But relative to his SP, it is going to be a lot bigger, and hopefully he'll do the business. I think it'd be good for racing, and I think to have him going for a fourth Gold Cup potentially this time next year. Imagine the hype and the buzz, and probably going to be a young pretender or two. But that gets racing into the general news, I suppose. Those kind of stories, your Frankels, your Constitution Hills, your Galloping des Champs, your real stars of the sport.
We need them as well. We do need them.
Yeah, exactly. It's 100%. We need to get more of that coverage, and it's a positive story as well. So hopefully he does the business. I'll going to throw it over to you for the Hunter's Chase, Matty, because I know it's not a graded race, but look, we've touched on in some shape or form all of the other 27 races, so we can't leave it out. Have you an opinion on the race? Because I don't at this point.
Yeah, look, we've touched off camera that since I put up Premier Magic at 66-1 for the race a few seasons ago, 2 years ago now, it's always had a place in my heart. But this get a trumpet out yet. Well, he's there for all to see.
That's deserving.
Yeah,
In fairness, 66-1, well worth the boom.
Yeah, it's not a race. At the moment, you look at it and you think, what can even from a trend perspective, 6 of the last 10 were 10-year-olds. I think there's only 5 10-year-olds in here, including the favourite Angels Dawn. The only other I'd perhaps give a tentative mention to is a Fairly Famous, who actually beat Premier Magic here in May last season, a couple of years ago now, and the last season, sorry. He's 2 from 2 and Hunter chases on the new course. He goes well fresh, and has got an absence to return from. I think Fairly Famous might be an each way angle into this, but there's some strong Irish contenders in there. The Angels Breath's always been kind of Angels Dawn even has been up there recently, hasn't it? Last year's second, It's on the Line, comes back off top weight again. Don't think he's got to have a good chance. Shearer for the Nichols combination. He's done well since. All Mankind's back in there. It was I think it was in an article a few seasons ago. All Mankind. Wonderwall, an old favourite of mine for used to be with the Bowens. He's in there as well. So there's some familiar faces. It's a race I do like, but I wouldn't be one to have a strong opinion on it.
Yeah, fair enough. Like I say, I don't have a strong opinion on the race, so we'll move on to our best bets on Friday.
Yeah, for me, as I say, I found Friday a bit of a tricky race to decipher and to have much of a strong opinion on. Well, the best bet would be Tap on the Go at the Martin Pipe, and from an each way angle, I'd take Gibbs angle in the Triumph.
Okay, very good. My best bet on Friday, I agree. I don't think there's too many strong shouts on Friday. I'm obviously hoping Gallopin wins, but at the current prices, it's going to be absurd in the county hurdle. And if there's probably a little bit bigger than the 6-1 available, if you're getting 7 or 8-1, I think he's a solid each way shout. Right, that's our days 3 and 4 covered. We'll have to go back over the first 2 days and come up with our best bets for the week, Matty. We go minimum 3, and if you want to throw in a 4th, we'll be okay with that as well. So best bets for the week.
Oh, well, you put me on the spot. I think my best bet will be Unexpected Party to win the Grand Annual. My each way shout, Happy Go Lucky for the Ultima. My next best will be each way, Happy Go Lucky for the Ultima. And I think I'll stick with I'll stick with my. I'll stick with tap on the go for the Martin Pipe as a third one.
Okay. My best bet for the week is. I really should have prepped this a little bit more. I was actually going to go with Unexpected Party, and you've thrown me. Yeah, look, I'm going to go with Unexpected Party as well as my nap. Um, I kind of forgot that you were very keen on him as well. Yeah, he's going to be my nap. My next best is going to be Ginny's Destiny, and my each way shout is going to be the Wall Park in the Stairs. So they're my three. Your three, and yeah, honourable mention as well to probably Absurd in the county hurdle, and like you said, Happy Go Lucky in the Ultima. So that's it. I hope everyone has enjoyed our preview, our two previews. Days 1 and 2 were live earlier in the week. If you want to catch up on those, where we were kind of in agreement for a lot of the races actually earlier in the week with Happy Go Lucky and Unexpected Party. Looking forward to a brilliant week. We might catch each other over on the Tuesday, I believe, Matty.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
going
Yeah,
racing, so if anyone wants to meet us as well, that'd be great. Looking forward to meeting all the racing fans and people who love the sport just like we do. I'm really excited now. I'm really, really excited. I was gathering a few bits last night for the trip over. My first time attending the festival, as I've said already, and I absolutely can't wait. Tuesday morning, it's going to be.
I know. I mean, I've seen a few people crabbing it already. I've seen it this morning. Like, oh, it's Benidorm nonsense. Like, I get it. Like, it's becoming fashionable. I get it. But there's nothing. There's nowhere better to be in this week of March, is there?
Yeah, I just don't get that. Like, if you're not going to go there, it doesn't really matter where you are. Like, there's not going to be the Cheltenham atmosphere in Benidorm, or like there's not going to be in my local village in Nixnana or any of the towns local. Yeah, you might go there because they're only in the road and you want somewhere to watch the racing. But
Yeah,
I'm not going
it's
to
a
take a flight.
completely different feeling once you're down there.
Yeah, I'm not going to take a flight anyway. Like I tweeted about this morning because I was sick of reading all this rubbish. Like I'm excited to go to the festival. Yeah, it's going to cost a few quid, but look, I'm hoping that it'll be worth it. And seeing all this rubbish about going here, there, and everywhere for the festival, no, not for me. Like you don't go somewhere else to watch the Masters, or you don't go if you want to go to see Wimbledon. You don't go to the Canaries or anywhere like that.
Yeah,
There's only one place where the action is actually happening, and
yeah.
while other places are a reasonable substitute, I don't think they're the same, or at least I hope they won't be the same. So if anyone wants to catch up with us, I'll be on track Tuesday and Wednesday. Are you still going racing Wednesday, Matty?
Just a Tuesday, unless Unexpected Party and Happy Go Lucky do the double. I'll be there for the Wednesday as well.
Yeah, very good, very good. Well, look, thanks to everyone for listening. This has been our second Cheltenham preview, days 3 and 4. 1 and 2 were live earlier in the week. Matty, as always, you've been absolutely brilliant. Thanks very much for joining us, or joining me rather, and hope you have a great week and a profitable one.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you soon. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
Thanks very much. We are racing clear into the Cheltenham Festival for next week, and hopefully we'll return the week after with new jackets, new cars, new hats, everything brand new after a brilliant week. Thanks very much.
Ta.